Welcome back from that short commercial break, and at this particular time we're heading straight to the coffee court, and the discussion today is about fiscal planning and infrastructure. With the interview that's with Robert Kasolo, the Vice Chairman, Fiscal Planning and Infrastructure Committee, and of course we're going to be getting to understand what really this entails regarding planning for cities, as you can hear, infrastructure, fiscal planning and infrastructure. So quite a lot of insights is going to be shared regarding this particular talk. Coffee court has more.
Well, it's a pleasure and thank you for joining us on this coffee court where we discuss critical and significant matters. My name is Fred Makuya, and this time around we'll be digesting matters of infrastructure and physical planning. Now, one of the committees that is very significant in following up matters of physical planning in this country is the Committee of Physical Planning and Infrastructure Development. We digest matters with Honorable Kasolo Robert. He is the Vice Chairperson of the Committee of Infrastructure and Construction Department here at Parliament of Uganda. Honorable, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's true that I deputize the Committee of Physical Infrastructure, which oversees physical planning in the entire country. Okay. We do oversee it, which is domesticated under the Ministry of Lands. We oversee it, and we do make sure everything is running very well as far as physical planning is concerned.
Okay.
I'm very privileged that I've been on this committee right from the 10th Parliament. Apparently, I'm one of the leaders. Issues of physical planning has been very prominent in this committee. We started with the Physical Plan Act, which is in place. We have moved on to see that we have, which brought in so many issues like the Physical Planning Board and so forth. We have also, of recent, made a law that the physical planners registration, which is an act now, to regulate the physical planners in doing their work, when executing their work. We only have one issue which is lagging, is the National Development Plan. Last week when we had a symposium in Munyunyu, the minister who came, they were saying that it's before cabinet, that a few things, principles have been tabled and so forth. So we expect this country to have a national physical development plan. That's what is only lacking.
So why has it delayed? Because you've been here, you are not the broom on this committee.
Why the delay? It has delayed because it is something which is very comprehensive, a national physical development plan, which has all the plannings for this country. It has delayed, and indeed it is a pity that it has delayed, it has dragged, and the ministers have kept telling us it's before cabinet. Okay. After cabinet, it will be coming to Parliament for us to pass it as a Parliament. But we also complain indeed that it has delayed. But as far as we are concerned, as a committee, we have made sure we work on most of the laws that have come before our committee. Okay. And we have made our statement.
Honorable, it's my pleasure that we are talking about urbanization, which connects to issues of physical planning. And good enough you've been around. On 2018, you approved the cities, 15 of them. Many of them have already begun operation. Let's talk about their performance in the view of how you've planned for this city as a vice chairperson.
Of course, as urbanization takes root, are you aware that in the Physical Planning Act declared Uganda a planning area, the whole of Uganda to be a planning area? And you are aware that Uganda is one of the countries which is urbanizing at a rapid rate. Now, we are worried as a country that the country is urbanizing in an unplanned manner. You understand what I'm saying?
We are together.
if you went down your village, you will find a small car trading center. Give it 2 years, you will find when people have started building and doing what have you. On their own, they are not guided. The buildings, the towns that are coming up are not guided by the physical planning. That's the danger. We are likely to have a country which has issues. Now, when it comes to these cities were upgraded, were municipalities. They were upgraded to cities. Now, the most important key factor that would be handled first, and that makes those cities not to develop slums or spas, it would be the physical planning.
So what's your role now as the vice chairperson?
Now, we have guided and we have really seen it by, one, making sure these cities are well planned in terms of land use. Well planned, that the cities are planned to avoid future problems where if they don't plan, there will be a big problem. Okay. Now, the issue which is at hand and which is endangering these cities, that most of them are not well planned.
So who should plan for this?
Now, it's the ministry, it's government which must plan for these cities, not through the ministry. It's government, and what does that mean? It requires a budget. It requires a budget to make sure these cities, and this is something that we have discussed several times. Not that we are quiet about it, but in all forums where we have had, in all our meetings, these issues have kept coming.
So would I be wrong if I threw this responsibility to your committee, which you do?
No, our committee, yes, is responsible because we do day-to-day overseeing of these ministries for them to be able to execute their work. But we are at times curtailed. Our hands are usually tied that when we don't provide them money, and yet we are the people who are supposed to provide them money. As Parliament, we can appropriate money. We say we have appropriated this much, like in the previous budget. This coming budget, we are going to do the same. We appropriate money to these entities, to the ministry, to enforce, to make sure they implement physical planning in these particular cities. But at times that money is not realized. That money is not sent to the ministry, and that comes a stumbling block.
So what do we do?
Who is to blame?
What do we do?
You don't blame. You can't blame us as a committee. You can't blame us as a committee. It's the people. For us, we will pass the laws, but we don't give money. It's for us, we appropriate. I think papers.
And then the responsibility is
for Minister of Finance.
No, but you could lobby for more funds as a committee.
I think it's not necessarily lobbying as per se. What I want to tell the country and the viewers is that we sit in our rooms and we plan for these things. Like the current budget running, we had a series of meetings, and our priority was physical planning. But when it came to how much money do we need to give the physical planners, people who are supposed to, it became an issue.
So what do we do? Because most of them are already in operation. Gulu, Hoima, Masaka, Mbalara, Fort Potro, Mbale, which is your neighbor, and Soroti. Many of them are already in operation. So what do we do amid this lack of enough finances?
Lack of finance is going to cripple a lot of development. If we continue in this kind of state where money is not put to key critical areas like enough physical planning, we are going to have a very big problem as a country. Because what has happened that urbanization has gone ahead of physical planning. Places are being urbanized, but the planning is not there completely. What do you expect? So my only appeal, my only thinking, my opinion, it would be that we need to prioritize these issues and give these people money for them to be able to go and do the physical planning of these areas and guide where land use in these particular cities. If government doesn't do that, there is likely to be a very big problem, and there is already a problem.
If one said you are in the right capacity to do all the lobbying as the vice chairperson in charge of the physical planning and the infrastructure committee, you are the right person to do all the lobbying, not me, Fred Makuya.
No, we are doing our work, and indeed we are doing it. We talk to each other. We talk to at our levels. We talk to each other, and we digest these issues about physical planning and what have you. But along the way, things don't work out. What do you do?
let me bring you closer to Kampala, which has been around for a very good time. Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. Are you satisfied with the way Kampala is being planned for?
Those are the dangers. The kind of encroachment on wetlands and what have you that you are seeing in Kampala is basically due to lack of physical planning. Let me tell you, in the KCCA, my committee oversees works and physical planning. But I can assure you, this year running, physical planning in Kampala never got any money. How do you expect them to perform?
No, it's a directorate.
It's the directorate.
It's just a directorate.
The directors of physical planning in the KCCA didn't get any quid. What miracle do you expect from them? How do you expect them to perform? Those are the issues at hand. That offices are there, staff they are not given money. At times they're even understaffed, and they are even not well remunerated. There are issues. There are issues.
We can never have enough staff, Honorable.
Yeah, the staff may not be enough.
And we can never have enough money.
The few who are there, we may not have enough money, but let's give them money to do a bit of work, to see them at least working. We cannot demand performance from them when we never facilitated them.
So you're talking about issues of money. Do you also think, because the illiteracy level also seems to be very high, and this is not an issue that
what is very prominent is that once as government we appreciate the value of physical planning, government will channel money there. Okay. Now there is a danger that at least I believe some of us we might have seen the value of, we know appreciate the value of physical planning individually, but the whole picture of government appreciating physical planning has not come to pass.
Let's now talk about issues of infrastructure. Research has it that around 500 buildings are falling each and every other day. We have a committee responsible for this. KCCA has a fully fledged directorate for infrastructure. Every division has a physical plan. We see buildings falling on a daily basis.
Now, those are issues that are still lingering around this committee. We have so many structures that are handling building standards and what have you. Now, within our committee, we have a body called the Building Review Board. That one oversees, makes sure to see that the building is built according to standard, it meets all the structural standards, everything, material and what have you, are all done in the right way. And they are indeed, we appreciate they are doing it their way, but Ugandans are very stubborn. Okay. Most of these building and the National Building Review Board is still thin on the ground. They are not everywhere, but at least now, there are approvals that are done for any building to be erected. There is a process that, like in a city of Kampala, you cannot just wake up in the morning and you start constructing, even if it's a toilet.
No, but we have many of them that begin in January and by April the building is done.
Those are the issues.
Is this okay?
Those are the issues, but we have the issue of those who don't want to do things the right way. and that is they are the majority. You realize somebody is a very rich man, is constructing a building of billions of money, but he does not want to go to the formalities.
Don't you think this is where now Ugandans will be pleased to see you, Honorable Kasoro, and all the 30 members of going to downtown, going to Chisenyi, going to Machindi?
We have done that.
Of
recent, we were taken to court. Over this building called Rotas. When the public alerted that the building had issues, we went there. But I am aware that the developer took Parliament to court why we went to see what have you. But I guess the judge was very patriotic enough and said,
and maybe I would ask, and maybe I would be hard on this, why wait when errors have happened? Maybe come up when the building is just on the initiation stage. Why come up when issues are
Some of these are private buildings. Some of these are the private developments. And as Parliament, at times we can't be everywhere.
No, I thought as Parliament.
But we have our links, like National Building Review Board, which is on the ground for them. For any development, approval of a plan and what have you, they are on the ground. They are doing their day-to-day work. For us to only come in to oversee, but of course we do it. Let's try thrice in a year. Okay. To go around Kampala and what have you. But these are cases that are handled by bodies like a KCCA. KCCA as a department, they are the one who authorize these buildings and what have they are supposed to oversee and determine that this guy's building is being built according to plan and what have you. In fact, the building at every stage is supposed to be certified that this person, these are the specifications he gave, and this is the structure, and what is on course, is following up, is following the guidelines, the plan of the house, and what have these approvals are done, and what have.
So who does the certification?
Certification is the KCCA and Building Review Board.
So if I'm out of Kampala, who does then the certification?
They are everywhere. Building Review Board, and they are local governments everywhere. If you are out of Kampala, Wakiso has that structure. They play that role to say that what is being reviewed there is according to plan. If you are in Mukono, if you are in Mbale, if you are in Budaka, they are everywhere. The bodies which are mandated to look at whatever you are building does not endanger human life.
So what should the building, to be certified a fledged building, what should it have? We have many of them in Kampala that if you, I don't know if you do a tour downtown, but there are many that don't qualify.
That is the impunity that is being seen in the city. It's impunity and the bribe which is happening. That's why we brought in these other bodies charged with that responsibility. But there's been a lot of impunity where people, you don't need to go through the right processes. You only start building and you start talking to those people with some small money as the building is going on. Meaning, how you are constructing, how you building look like, and is it to standard? It's not taken care of. And those are most cases, those are the buildings that have had cases. If you went to those cases where buildings have collapsed, you realize one thing, that there were nobody was supervising it.
So if there is impunity, do we continue in lamentation? Do we continue looking at issues? Do we let the building continue exist and cause issues?
I just think we must crack a whip on people who don't want, because this is something which is to do with lives, saving lives and whatever. And most of those buildings, if you witness which have collapsed, have claimed lives. Even if it's one person, it should be something that has to be taken seriously.
And that's why maybe the public would want to see Honorable Kasolo and all his team members make a visit, come to downtown and say this building is not in the right condition.
We are doing that, I can assure you, as a committee, we drew up a program, and like we are supposed to move and go to, we see Nakivu Stadium, because this is something that is going to have Ugandans. We don't want to have a problem where a stadium collapses after completion. Okay. That's our role, to go and look at it with our technical people to satisfy whether it's building plan and it can serve the purpose, that is not a danger to human race. Now, it is all about impunity, but I tell you, we have good laws, we have very good engineers, we have everybody who can satisfy and make sure that this building is habitable, is suitable for human use.
I personally know that if you are talking about urbanization, you're talking about Ministry of Lands, Housing, and Urban Development. What does this ministry need to do to better issues of urbanization, issues of physical planning, issues of infrastructure?
That ministry, first of all, I can assure you, as a person who knows what is happening in that ministry, there are issues in the ministry. That ministry has issues to do with...
We are specific on issues of urbanization.
Yeah,
which one
urbanization, there are issues of staffing. Staffing. You realize you go to that ministry and you will find the commissioners, some commissioners. But the people at that level are not, they cannot do day-to-day work. It requires other lower cadres who must do
yeah, because I know Commissioner Pade, yes, Commissioner Pade keeps telling us they are understaffed. And I think this would be the recommendation you should be putting on board
they are understaffed.
As a committee.
Yes, they are understaffed, and we have raised these issues in our boardroom, wherever, in our discussions. But once the implementers have not put into perspective, what do you do?
Honorable, if we are to wind up this discussion of issues of physical planning and urbanization, what would be your parting shots?
My parting shot is that to appeal to government of Uganda that physical planning is very fundamental. It's needed yesterday. We don't need to delay. That if not, this country is not properly planned, we are likely to have a very unplanned Uganda, which will be very disastrous to the future generation. So for us who are still living and who are in the position, it's our duty to streamline physical planning, land use in this country. Where there is a wetland, let's know the value of a wetland. Where there is all those natural features must be planned if we are to save this country. Physical planning is very important, and we will not realize proper development if we don't practice physical planning. Okay. My only appeal to government is to have this country planned properly.
Honorable Robert Kasoro, thank you so much and for sparing time to speak to us on critical matters of physical planning. Next time I am on this coffee court, especially discussing issues of physical planning. Of course, I'll be speaking to the ministers responsible. I know Honorable Judith Navakova is the cabinet minister in charge of lands, housing, and urban development. Honorable Sam Mayanja, I know you are in charge of lands. Honorable Biga Kanya, I know you are in charge of issues of urbanization. And that is our coffee court for today. My name is Fred Makubuya.